Well, we're now happy to have here Ryan Turnbull, the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry, also the MP for Whitby in Ontario, and Iqwinder Gaheer, who represents Mississauga Malton, also a Liberal MP. Thank you for joining us, the two of you.
Thank you for having us.
Listen, I want to begin with the criticism that you heard there from Jagmeet Singh of your party, looking in the past, saying the Liberals are the ones that pulled out of public housing, but also criticizing your Prime Minister for moving too slowly on affordable housing. How would you respond to that?
Well, we made the largest investment in over 30 years with $82 billion in the National Housing Strategy. It's already helped build or repair over 500,000 units across Canada, and now we're adding more measures on. We're waiving the GST on new rental construction. We've added on the Housing Accelerator Fund, so I just think it's false to say that our government hasn't been acting on affordable housing.
But acting too slowly is a criticism that we heard from the NDP leader.
So this is a very multi-layered problem, right? It's going to involve all levels of government, municipal, provincial, and federal. And if you look at Minister Sean Fraser, he's hit the ground running. He's announced funding all over Canada from East Coast to the West Coast. He's working with municipalities, making agreements with them. And the Housing Accelerator Fund is building thousands of homes. It's already built thousands of homes.
Now, the other criticism that we've heard, not so much from Mr. Singh, although he said it was difficult to work with Liberals during his speech, but amongst the delegates themselves, they're not necessarily happy with the supply and confidence agreement that the NDP leader has signed on with your party. And a lot of them basically say that the Liberals are riding on the NDP coattails by claiming that dental care, pharmacare, anti-scab legislation are Liberal ideas, when really they say it took the NDP to force your party to move on those.
Well, we're laser focused on a progressive vision for this country, with affordability being the top priority for our government and for Canadians. We've gotten dental care done. We've worked on shared priorities. Obviously, dental care and child care are key priorities that I think advance the interests of Canadians and are shared priorities that are in the Supply Confidence Agreement. We're working on more, and we're looking forward to a collaborative working relationship.
Are Liberals riding on NDP coattails, essentially being given a platform to campaign on in the next election?
Well, I mean, I don't see it that way. I think we're advancing the interests and priorities of Canadians by working constructively together on progressive issues that Canadians care about.
What would you say to that?
Look, this is what the Supply and Confidence Agreement was about. It's about putting partisan politics aside. It's about working on shared priorities that our parties agree on, that we can move forward to make life more affordable for Canadians.
Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about has to be whether or not the other thing I do want to focus on is the fact that we're seeing right now the NDP focusing not so much on Liberals, but on the Conservative challenge. What do you take from that? Because it seems this is an indication of where your party is in the polls, that the NDP do not view the Liberals as their main challenger if and when another election happens, but Conservatives. What do you say to that?
So I think, look, the polls that matter are polls during an election. And if you look at 2015, the Liberals were in third place until the final week, I think, is when the polls started to change. And the Liberals came out with a majority that we've never ever seen before. So I don't know how much to believe polls 2 years out from a possible election date. As for Poilievre, I think he believes in rage politics, rage farming, and I think and Canadians don't believe that. We've seen a rejection of that with the recent election, with the winning of Wab Canute. Canadians have rejected rage farming, and I think it's fair for progressive parties to unite against that kind of partisan politics here in Canada.
But it seems that at least it may not matter, the polls may not matter till Election Day, but here, at least amongst the Democrats, they don't seem to think that the Liberals are the big challenge, that it's the Conservatives really are the challenge. What do you say to that?
Well, we know that Pierre Poilievre is importing American-style politics here in Canada, and I think us as progressive parties all stand against that together. We have more in common than we have as differences, and I think that we have some shared priorities that we're advancing, the key focus being affordability for Canadians, and we don't see Pierre Poilievre-style politics as advancing the interests of Canadians. He's going to cut programming for the most vulnerable and take us backwards in time on every issue that you can think of, whether it's workers' rights, whether it's affordability measures, whether it's climate action. He'll take us backwards. We want to keep moving forward with that progressive vision.
But, looking at the poll, I know you're saying that it only matters on Election Day, but right now, Liberals standing at about 28% in popular support, New Democrats at 21%. Are you worried about splitting the vote and letting the Conservatives come up the middle? Is that a concern for you?
Look, I think back to my election, and I think about how polling is actually done in terms of how it's done in ethnic communities. So there are actually gaps within polling itself. So I don't know if those numbers are entirely reliable, and we've been able to question those pollsters as well. If you look at 2015, we were third place party. it was only the final week that polls started to surge, and Trudeau came out with this majority that we've never seen before in Canadian politics. And so this is someone that really knows how to do unprecedented acts. And so I don't think the polls should be believed right now. I think what we should focus on is affordability for Canadians, which is the number one issue. Canadians are not concerned about polls, they're concerned about affordability, which is what our government is focused on.
Last question to you, Ryan, because you talk about the progressive parties grouping yourselves along with the Liberals and New Democrats together. So how do you view New Democrats?
How do I view them? Well, I mean, they're a progressive party that wants to pursue many similar things that a Liberal government does. I think we take a more balanced approach. I think we're a progressive party that is trying to remain as fiscally responsible as possible while advancing the interests of Canadians. We saw a highly dysfunctional and toxic parliament prior to the supply confidence agreement. I think the NDP are helping us work for the interests of Canadians, whether it's dental care, child care, whether it's the new affordability measures, waiving GST, C56, the Sustainable Jobs Act. There's many interests and issues that we're advancing in our collaborative working relationship, and we really hope that continues for as long as we can.
Thank you very much for the time, both of you.
Thanks very much.